A young man named Marcus, a high school senior, decided to purchase a graduation gift for his grandmother. He chose a delicate silver locket from Elegance, a boutique known for its fine jewelry. Marcus had saved his allowance and part-time job earnings for months. As he entered the store, a bell chimed, and he was met by the cool, polished interior. Ms. Eleanor Finch, the store's proprietor, a woman with neatly coiled gray hair and a stern expression, observed him with a noticeable shift in her demeanor. Her initial polite greeting turned into a guarded scrutiny. Marcus, aware of the subtle change, tried to ignore the unease creeping into his stomach. He approached the display case, pointing to the locket. "I'd like to see that one, please," he said, his voice polite and clear. Eleanor hesitated, her gaze lingering on his worn sneakers and casual jacket. "Are you certain?" she asked, her voice laced with a thinly veiled skepticism. "It's quite an expensive piece." Marcus produced a wad of cash from his pocket, the fruit of his diligent savings. "I have the money," he stated firmly. Eleanor's eyes narrowed, and her grip on the countertop tightened. "And where, exactly, did you acquire this sum?" she inquired, her tone accusatory. "I work at the diner down the street," Marcus replied, his patience wearing thin. "I saved up." Eleanor scoffed, a dismissive sound that echoed in the quiet store. "Right," she said, her disbelief palpable. "And you expect me to believe that?" Despite the rising anger, Marcus maintained his composure. "I'm not here to argue," he said, his voice low. "I just want to see the locket." Reluctantly, Eleanor retrieved the locket, placing it on the velvet-lined counter. "Be careful," she warned, her eyes darting to his hands. "It's worth more than you'll likely ever earn." Marcus gently picked up the locket, admiring its intricate design. As he turned it over, the clasp slipped through his fingers. The locket hit the counter with a soft thud, then fell to the tiled floor. Before Marcus could react, Eleanor let out a sharp cry. "Thief!" she exclaimed, her voice ringing through the store. "I knew it! You were trying to steal it." Marcus's heart pounded. "No, I..." Eleanor snatched the phone, dialing frantically. "Police! I need the police. A young man just tried to steal from me." Marcus stood frozen, the weight of her accusation pressing down on him. The other customers, their faces etched with suspicion, shifted away from him. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air. Two officers, Officer Miller and Sergeant Davis, entered the store. "That's him!" Eleanor shouted, pointing at Marcus. "He tried to steal the locket." Sergeant Davis, a stout man with a stern face, immediately approached Marcus, his hand reaching for his handcuffs. "Hands behind your back," he commanded. "I didn't do anything." Marcus protested, his voice shaking. "Just cooperate," Officer Miller said, his eyes scanning the scene. "Call my mother," Marcus said, his voice firm. "You can make your call at the station," Sergeant Davis replied. "No," Marcus insisted. "Call her now." Eleanor scoffed. "Call his mommy," she sneered. "Who is she? A lawyer? A troublemaker?" Marcus pulled out his phone, dialing quickly. "Mom, I need you at Elegance, now." Minutes ticked by, the tension in the store palpable. Then, the door swung open, and a woman entered. She was tall, poised, and radiated an air of authority. "I'm Dr. Vivian Hayes," she announced, holding up a badge. "Chief of Police, Oak Ridge PD. And this is my son." The room fell silent. Eleanor's face paled. Sergeant Davis hesitated, his grip on the handcuffs loosening. "Sergeant," Vivian said, her voice sharp. "Do you have a reason for detaining my son?" "We received a report of attempted theft," Sergeant Davis stammered. "And you immediately assumed he was guilty?" Vivian asked, her voice laced with ice. "He dropped the locket," Eleanor interjected, her voice trembling. "He was going to take it?" "Did you check the security footage?" Vivian asked. Sergeant Davis hesitated. "We were about to." "You were about to arrest him without any evidence," Vivian said, her voice cutting through the silence. Officer Miller spoke up. "We should check the footage." The store manager retrieved the footage, and it played on a screen. It showed Marcus entering the store, paying for the locket, and then accidentally dropping it. The room was silent. "So," Vivian said, her voice low. "What happens now?" Sergeant Davis said nothing. "Mrs. Finch," Vivian said, turning to Eleanor. "You accused my son of theft. Do you have anything to say?" Eleanor's lips trembled. She looked at Marcus, at Vivian, at the officers. She stammered, then fell silent. Vivian nodded. "That's what I thought." "We're done here," Sergeant Davis said, his voice tight. "No apology?" Vivian asked. Eleanor said nothing. "Come on, Marcus," Vivian said. As they left, Marcus turned to Eleanor. "I just wanted to buy a gift," he said, his voice calm. "But I guess I got something else instead." Outside, Vivian turned to Marcus. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," Marcus said. "I should feel better. But I don't." Vivian nodded. "You shouldn't have had to prove anything." Eleanor stepped outside, her face pale. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, and walked away. "Cowards never apologize," Vivian said. Sergeant Davis and Officer Miller left the store. "So, that's it?" Marcus asked. "For now," Vivian said. She pulled out her phone. "I want a press release. I want a full investigation into the call. And I want an internal review." As they drove away, Marcus leaned back in his seat, the weight of the day settling on him. He had been exonerated, but the feeling of being judged, of being seen as a threat, lingered.